This video brought to you in part by Tommy and the Order of Cosmic Champions. This exciting and heartwarming coming-of-age Gen X novel is available now. Check the link for more info. If you watch this channel with any regularity, well, you already know that it's hard for me to avoid looking at anything that reminds me of my Gen X childhood and invokes that nostalgia, no matter how wacky it might be. Not too long ago, we looked at that super tiny little mousetrap game, that little board game, and last year I looked at a Frogger video game that was inside of a little plastic toy carabiner. You might remember seeing that. But when I picked that one up, you know how Amazon worked. Like, if you like this, you might also like these other things. And I came across something that was so bizarre, again, I couldn't not buy it to check it out. This is another one of those carabiner games, but this time it's the board game Operation as an electronic video game carabiner, hang it on your bag kind of thing. Hey there, welcome back to Gen X Grown Up. I'm John. I am a Gen X Grown Up. Thank you so much for the click. When I saw this, the first thing that popped into my head is how are you going to get the gameplay of Operation, which is a fidelity, a dexterity game of you having those little metal tweezers and you trying not to hit the edges, into a game that has a D-pad and a couple of buttons? I don't know, but that's exactly why I had to buy it and why we're gonna find out together what this thing is actually like. Here's our little Operation Carabiner still on the card for now. He says remove all 13 ailing parts as quickly as possible to win. So it's kind of like a time-based thing, I'm gonna guess. I mean, it's still a skill game, just maybe a different kind of skill. I mean, you don't have any tweezers to pull out little pieces or anything. There's a little more description here around back. It even shows that we have Battleship and Yahtzee. And like immediately I can figure out how you would do Battleship and Yahtzee in a handheld toy like this, but I'm still curious how Operation is gonna work. I don't know that there's anything else we can learn from looking at the package, so let's get this thing open, throw in some batteries, and give it a try. Looking at the unit, you can see that it's the same mold as that Frogger we looked at before, the little carabiner clip to put it on your backpack. It feels like the same kind of mushy D-pad and a couple of buttons. And the screen this time is printed with the color version of our little Operation patient here, a little box like a score or what. And around the back, just a battery door and a speaker is back here. I did give the instructions a quick peek. Nothing in there I couldn't have figured out in the game, which reinforces my belief that all instructions are trash and should be thrown away. So here is our little toy. You can see I've not turned it on yet. The batteries are in it, and there's our patient and the little screen. So this button is on off, and this button is a mute. Although there's not much sound to be had, so we hold down the on, and we're on. That little click, that was it, if you heard that. In fact, I'm gonna hold it a little closer to the mic if you can. That click, that's it. That's all the sound there is, so you can mute that very easily. So here's the way that it works, and you gotta be careful with the light to not make sure you can see the outline of the little LCD. So what happens is for each of the different little parts of the body you have to take out, you have to navigate a little maze, and you can only see a portion of the maze. So you can tick down here. When I get that far, it tells me the next little bit. And this is a race against time. Now, if you cross over one of the lines, it resets you and you gain 10 seconds. So there I failed. There I failed. Like we suspected, not much like the original Operation. There is a skill game, but it's much more kind of video game skill. And I would say it's kind of, it's fighting this weird D-pad skill too, because the D-pad is a little bit mushy as we remembered from Frogger. Sometimes they get a little more challenging. They go up and back and if I'm too much of a hurry, you will definitely lose. Oh, that one took a turn on me. And you can see the bank at the bottom filling up of the body parts that I have successfully extracted with my surgeon video game skills. And back up and back over. Wow, where's this going? A little serpentine. Okay. All right, so that was the end of a level. So that's the end of the level, and then you go right away, you can see level 2 there. You've started in level 2. And the time is counting down. So I need to complete all of these body part extractions before the timer runs out, and there's a 10-second penalty every time I mess up. It's a progressive game. You've got to keep playing to get to the next level, and when you turn it off, it's going to reset. You know, as a player, you kind of really don't care what body part you're taking out. So unlike Operation, where there's a special kind of finesse required to get the water on the knee or the I don't know, what the rubber band out or whatever, all those pieces, but here it's just kind of the same thing over and over. There's no differentiation between the different parts that you're extracting. That's burning time when you make mistakes. You can't afford to do that too often. Let's just finish this level at least, and we're almost done with this one. I think we've seen what this little operation has to offer. All right, with 62 seconds remaining and my score of 9,000. So that's just, it's progressive, right? So we're up to level, what, 3 or 4 or whatever. You can just keep going and keep going. It continues until you can't successfully complete a level in the allotted time that you are budgeted for that particular level. Well, that answers that, doesn't it? I didn't know what to expect out of this little operation. Clearly, it's not the original Operation board game. In fact, it's so loosely based on it that they just kind of use the name because they had the license from Hasbro, I think. The game itself is, how do I say this without sounding negative? It's not fun, but it really doesn't invoke Operation all that much. I do like there is a dexterity to it. I might say the dexterity is largely around the fact that the D-pad is so weird and wonky that it's hard to control. Even if you take into consideration that it's not exactly Operation, that the D-pad's a little wonky, the reality is you don't need super tight finesse with it. You just have to learn how to operate it, and no pun intended, learn how to operate it. And I could see it being a fun little casual game that, again, you might have strapped to the side of your purse, your backpack or whatever, and you pick it up to play it when you're bored, just because your phone is charging or whatever. So it's okay. If you would like one, of course, I'll put a link down in the description of this video where you can go and get one for yourself. As for a rating, I would rate this about 2 tokens out of 5. It's a cute little gadget that you are liable to have some fun with, but it's not one that's going to invoke those memories of playing the classic Operation board game that you remember growing up as a kid. I'll throw some links here and here to some other nostalgic board game stuff that we have covered here on GenXGrownUp. I certainly hope you found something to enjoy though in this video, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.